From Los Angeles, it's totally at the World Cup. Day 14 as groups A, B and C come to a close. Wednesday saw Mex flex and cash out the checks in football mecca named Azteca. In Miami, Brazil fans chant, "Neymar, please," and so do Scottish ones as their team slumps to a 3-0 defeat. There's a big win for Switzerland, several goal of the tournament contenders. Wilson Isidore, Haiti out the door, South Africa in the knockouts for the first time ever, and much more in this Totally at the World Cup. Wednesday evening in LA, Thursday morning in the UK. Welcome to our latest roundup of events from this wonderful World Cup. We've got Duncan Alexander with us, also Phil Hay, and yes, Tom Williams. Hello to you all.
Hello, James.
And goodbye, Tom. Goodbye.
Bye, Group A in particular, and also
B and C. Although elements of those groups, of course, will continue. Possibly even Scotland, Phil. We shall see.
Possibly.
Yeah.
As Steve Clarke said, I think we're going home. So yeah, hope springs eternal.
What a positive man he is.
I know, just the message we were all looking for.
That post-game interview after the 3-0 defeat to Brazil.
He hates them, doesn't he? Absolutely hate. I mean, I don't think he loves interviews generally. Well, it kind of gives the vibes of hating everybody, but particularly the post-match interviews. Yeah, brushes them off.
All right. Well, anyway, we arrived at the final set of group games, and that's the end of 3 groups, A, B and C, as mentioned. Duncan, you're particularly sad to see Group A go.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Group A. Well, I should be more specific. I'm not a huge fan of the Czech Republic or their performance at this World Cup, which I found profoundly depressing. It's so much so that I refused to watch their game in Mexico and tucked in instead to the Southern Classico between South Korea and South Africa, in which South Africa surprised quite a few people in a 3 to the got out of the group stage for the first time in their history, which is really
terrific stuff.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrific stuff. We'll get on to what happened in all the groups, but yes, 3 groups were in action today. The matches of each group were played simultaneously, which led to some tough choices for all of us. Before we get on to the results, yes, moment of the day. Tom?
I'm going to go for Wilson Isidore's thunderbolt for Haiti against Morocco, as Haiti scored their first ever World Cup goals.
That's a great pick.
That is a great pick, isn't it?
Yeah, beautiful.
If you're listening on the audio version, Phil, what's so great about this picture?
Oh, it's like caught in time, isn't it? Look at the goalkeeper. He's not so much
a rare aerial.
Yeah,
shot.
the overhead shot.
Yeah,
the keeper isn't at full stretch. He's sort of arched like a fish, isn't he?
I can see the ball. It's there.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
It's about to nestle in the net. So that was Wilson Isidore's goal, which was a thunderous strike.
Yeah, so Haiti went ahead, got pegged back, and then just before half-time, the ball falls to Sunderland man Wilson Isidore on the edge of the box, who lets fly with a beautiful shot that arrows its way into the top left corner. And as someone pointed out on social media, one of the remarkable features of this goal is that his standing foot doesn't move. Like, it doesn't shift off the ground as you would expect. It doesn't move at all. It's just he just swings his foot and then just kind of stands there admiring it. I mean, you can't do better than that.
That's glorious. Or can you do better than that goal? Because your moment of the day, Duncan, was a rival
look
goal.
at that. If you're talking about standing feet.
Again, if you're on the audio version, get across to YouTube, because that's a lovely picture.
I mean, the shape of the man, Alabegovic, the Trionda. Look at the shadow of the Trionda, like the first picture of Earth from space in some ways. In other ways,
a lot like that.
Not.
It was an unearthly goal as well. Tell us why, Duncan.
Well, I think it was my goal of the tournament so far because it combined an absolute pile driver, which we've seen quite a few of, but it also involved him weaving his way through a couple of defenders before he hit it. And up until now, Alabegovic was how I describe goalkeepers scoring in the Premier League. But from this moment on, I'm going to respect this 18-year-old who is a tremendous talent and will be in the Bundesliga next season.
Alabegovic.
Yeah.
I get that. We have to celebrate these things because we won't have Duncan for much longer. Much like some of these, group teams, your Czech Republic.
I'm very much the Czech Republic.
Yeah, I can.
Sorry, lads.
That might be hard going. I can confirm that Duncan's been moaning about the Czech Republic all day. I don't think there's any way back for them ever.
It's not even a bit. It's a real thing.
How good would they have to become in order for you to forgive them?
I'd merely say, but you're Czechia, you're not the Czech Republic. So, plausible deniability.
Well, Phil, what about your moment of the day?
Moment of the day. So if it was football, it would have been Neymar and the mad frenzy around like faded star who just seems to like they love Neymar in Brazil. They absolutely adore him. But what happened today was before we came up here to the ranch, we went to the Hollywood sign, or at least went for a walk.
Well, yeah, the Runyon
Hollywood
Canyon,
sign.
I think, which is it's kind of off Mulholland Drive. You can see the Hollywood sign from it.
You can see it. It would be wrong to say it's right beside it. It's actually about 10 miles away, or it feels like it. But anyway, we were scrambling down the slope, and this guy came up to us in an Arsenal shirt. And he said, that was
That's
us.
you there, Phil.
This, I believe, was after the encounter. And he said...
Can we see? There he is.
Yeah, that's the man.
Who is he?
Well, so he said, can I get out here? And I said, yeah, mate. I said, just up that slope. So off he toddled. Charlie, producer, said something to him as well. As we walked down the path, Charlie came up to me and said, do you realise that was Rob Delaney of Catastrophe fame? Comic, actor, well known. To which I said, I had no idea. No.
Right. But
so my colleagues were duly mortified.
There were kind of three rival groups. From our
not
totally
to suggest
crew.
that we've all fallen out or anything, but we did somehow find
They were
ourselves
legit-
all doing the same hike in
I
three
refuse to
separate
go.
groups.
That's how bad it's got.
And all three of us bumped into Rob Delaney in his Arsenal training top. And
Straight up, I had no idea who it was.
None of us realised who it
Not
was.
a clue.
And to sort of honour him, you watched a catastrophe this afternoon, aka Scotland's defending.
That is indeed it, yeah. Scott McKenna, doubling up. Yeah.
Scott caught red-handed, more like. Well, no skunks then for the last week, but we have had a Hollywood celebrity of sorts. Somebody asked him, was it you, Tom? Are you an Arsenal fan then? And
that was producer Jesse,
and
who
he
was
said,
himself
"No,
an Arsenal fan,
Yeah.
and who was attracted by the training. It's the training top that is inspired by the seat pattern on the Piccadilly line.
Oh, yeah.
For any training top connoisseurs out there, and they had a good old chin wag, but producer Jesse didn't recognise him either.
All right. Well, I want to dwell on this reflected celebrity a little bit longer, but I'm going to have to move on.
I am sorry to Rob. You know, I do apologise, but I don't think he should base the scale of his celebrity on the basis of whether I know who he is. I'm not the oracle on those things.
Did he
or
recognise
indeed
you,
anything.
Phil?
No, sadly not. Or if he did, he didn't say.
Yeah. Results then. 6 games played today. Mexico beats Czech Republic 3-0. That was one of the 2 evening games in Group A, which also saw South Korea defeated 1-0 by South Africa, who, as Duncan mentioned, goes through to the knockout stages for the first time ever. Group B, there was a shootout for first place in Vancouver. That was won by Switzerland, who beat Canada 2-1. Bosnia, meanwhile, taking third spot in that group with a 3-1 victory over Qatar. Bosnia now very likely to face USA in the round of 32. And in Group C, yes, Brazil beat Scotland 3-0 in Miami. They topped the group. Morocco, who were 4-2 winners against Haiti, in quite the banger of a game, will take second place. Crikey. We're going to begin, I think, with the Scotland-Brazil thing.
Oh, joy.
Wednesday afternoon in Miami, Scotland faced Brazil. Phil Hay.
Oh, dear.
Good first 6-7 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Outstanding first 6-7 minutes, in fact, yeah.
And then less good after.
Yeah. I seem to remember saying that after the Haiti game, that once you let Saibari and Vinicius Jr. loose at this defence, there might be problems. And it is basically the issue for Scotland. They don't have a huge amount up front, but they have absolutely nothing of any like world-class merit at centre-back. So Grant Hanley came out, which seemed like a good idea to me. Scott McKenna went in. First thing McKenna did was lose the ball, ship a really simple goal. And from that point, you knew it was curtains. And it got so bad that I felt in the second half that Scotland were basically playing for 3-0 because they were trying to weigh up how the table was going to look. Do we push for a goal? Do we avoid a fourth? It was not very flattering. I said in the briefing, this is basically summed up as Vinicius Jr. is very good, Scotland are not very good.
Right.
Is it?
Well, that's certainly one summary. There's maybe some other nuances we can get. But the table, Scotland finishing in third place in the group, a 3-0 scoreline. Where does that leave them, Duncan, in terms of the third place teams who are going to go through?
Yeah, so we kept mentioning to me that like a 1-goal or 2-goal defeat was not too bad. I mean, they're kind of 7th of the 8 at the moment, but as you can see, a lot of teams have yet to play their third game. That isn't necessarily a bad thing. There's quite a few groups where the third place team might finish on 2 points, so I think that's kind of what Scotland have got to hope for, or some big wins elsewhere. Currently, the beloved Machines back at Athletic HQ, and this figure has been falling steadily all day, unlike the temperatures, is down to 38% for Scotland to get through.
38%?
Which is not bad.
It was incredibly at about 84 or something mad this morning. And then even when they were 1-0 down to Brazil, it was sitting at a high 70. But it has bombed.
I mean, it's rare to watch a football game where going from 2-0 to 3-0 is such a huge blow to the team losing. But it did feel like that.
Since the days of the away goal rule, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. But I think the Machines might have picked up on the vibes from Steve Clarke. I mean, Delamitri did once sing "Don't Come Home Too Soon," and actually that is quite good advice because Scotland won't know for 3 or 4 days whether they're through or not. So
right.
Do you think they heard
But
Steve
worse
Clarke
than
and the Machine just said, right, just cut it to 0, we're gone?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder what if we went up to Steve Clarke now and said, "What do you think about this prediction model?" What his reaction would be?
Probably punch you, I think. Yeah.
Let's get some more positive vibes and talk about Brazil, who have now had back-to-back 3-0 victories, admittedly against Haiti and Scotland. Are they clicking? Are they resembling an Ancelotti team? Is Vinny Jr., is this going to be his World Cup? Tom?
I mean, they are starting to move through the gears with the caveat that they've done so against relatively feeble opposition. I still think the most telling performance... My apologies, Phil. I still think the most telling performance that we've seen from them was their opening game against Morocco when they were caught cold and Morocco were basically, passing the ball around them with their eyes closed for most of the first half. But they will have picked up confidence, and I think Vinicius Jr. turning up is a very good sign. We've talked a lot about all the superstar players who've shown up at this tournament so far. He clearly has 4 goals already, so he's one off top scorer Leo Messi. He's already doubled his best previous tally at a major tournament, and for all that Vinny Jr. has been kind of, the coming man of Brazilian football for the last 4 or 5 years, he's never really done it for them. He went into this tournament having made more than 50 international appearances but scored fewer than 10 goals.
Wow.
So he's not yet had his moment in the national team, and maybe he is having it here.
4 in 3 in this tournament. As you say, the third goal coming, Bruno Guimaraes, who set up one of
lovely goal, yeah.
Then
Bruno
setting up
Guimaraes
Matheus
gets
Cunha.
played through, kind of dances through, and then waits for Matheus Cunha to come, like running round him on the blind side, slips the ball to him, and he steers in. And they did play some nice stuff, Brazil, and then Neymar came on, and it was a bit of a party.
So how was Neymar when he came on?
Rusty, but the interesting thing about Neymar was the massive clamour for him. They were chanting for him early in the second half. This guy, I'd forgotten exactly how long it was, but it was October 2023 when he last played for Brazil, so 2.5 years now. He hasn't been fit. He's missed the first 2 games with this calf problem. They were chanting for him early in the second half. When he appeared on the screen, and it looked like he was mobilising to come off the bench, this huge cheer went up. And then Scotland decided at the sort of wrong moment to put on a bit of pressure, basically delay his substitutions. The crowd started to boo, get this guy on the pitch. And when he came on, they were just absolutely mad for the fact that he was involved at all. They completely worship their superstars in Brazil, but he's evidently one of them. I think, on reflection, I've probably completely underestimated his levels of celebrity and popularity in Brazil. He kind of walks on water.
Yeah, I think it's...
But he did look really rusty, I thought.
He did?
Yeah.
I mean, he ran like he was walking on water a little bit. So
yeah, the turning circle was quite big, I thought.
I mean, he nearly created a goal for Cunha shortly after coming on, but then there were other times when the ball came into his feet and he looked like he might be about to trip over it.
Endrick also came on, who's the other player who there's been a lot of clamour for, which meant that I think at the end, Brazil had Endrick and Vinny Jr. and Neymar as a kind of generational portmanteau.
There's this amazing thing going on with Brazil, isn't there, Brazil Twitter, and you might have spoken about it on the show before, about the assumption that's been made that Ancelotti hates Endrick.
Yeah.
And I suspect that's not really true. I reckon Ancelotti would rather use Endrick than he would Neymar. I feel like he probably won't use Neymar that much, despite, he's kind of having to resist all the love from back home. But yeah, the Endrick Ancelotti thing has definitely become an event online, for sure.
One of the questions before the game was how Brazil were going to cope without Rafinha, or Rafinha if you prefer, who's going to be out for a while with a calf injury. Ryan, or Ryan if you prefer, started in his stead and became, in the process, the first teenager to start a World Cup game for Brazil in over half a century. Big things expected of him. Bit more Scotland, though, Phil.
Why not?
Why not? So Steve Clarke, during the game, wasn't projecting alegria. At the end of the game, even less so. There's been, I think, a fair amount of criticism of his handling of this game, of the tournament, indeed every tournament they get to. What's the stat here?
Well, I was doing the numbers earlier, so he's taken them to 3 major competitions.
Yep, 3 major tournaments.
They have played 9 times in
9
those
times.
competitions. They have won 1 game.
1 game.
In those competitions, they've taken 5
Got
points.
a 0-0 win against England.
They did, yeah. Memorable. They've taken 5 points in those games, and they've scored 4 goals. So I think it's kind of reasonable that people who've paid loads of money to come over here would get a bit of an explanation afterwards about, and I know it's immediately after the game, people hate these flash interviews and they're a bit pointless, but he's not that forthcoming.
They're not that pointless, though.
Well,
and, I think there's such a thing as common courtesy for me.
Absolutely that. Yeah, no, definitely. It's just that I think when you've had 20 minutes, half an hour to reflect, you can speak a bit more thoughtfully in a press conference.
That's
and
true.
Give it a bit more, but you don't tend to get a huge amount out of him there either. And I think there seems to be this total resistance to the idea that he's done anything wrong. He did say they didn't play well today, which they didn't.
So, given the squad that he's got, and you mentioned the issues with the defensive talent that's in the squad, you mentioned the midfield, and a lot of people would point maybe to the midfield as being the area of strength, but I'm not sure what they've provided. Scott McTominay seems to have gone completely missing in this tournament. How much of it is his fault? Has he been too cautious? What do you think?
I think that it's multiple factors. So defensively, through the middle and goalkeeper, I'd said on a previous episode that the goalkeepers have 2 league starts between them in the season just gone, and they were both Craig Gordon at the turn of the year. He hasn't been playing; it's been Angus Gunn. The centre back options are just not elite, so you've got a definite weakness there. And once you get up front, you do have kind of finishers in like Shankland and Adams, but they're not really very top level. McTominay's been massively off form, but weirdly the chances started to come in the second half, and he couldn't finish any of them.
Had a decent header, didn't he, at one point?
Decent header, chance right at the very end that might have nicked a goal back, which could have been pretty helpful.
Huge.
But they are super defensive under Clarke, and they kind of nailed the knack of getting through qualifying, but then they come to these tournaments and they're a sort of completely pointless presence because they don't really do anything and they don't take any risks, and it seems strange to me. I think they'll go out now. I think it's quite likely that they'll go out. But the good news is that Clarke got a new contract before this tournament, so it's another 4 years, 4 more years.
That's 2 more tournaments.
Yeah, definitely.
No more wins.
How many goals by the end of those do you think? 6?
Maybe 2.
I mean, you'd think a team bringing a gun to a tournament in America would be at a massive advantage, but sadly not.
Not sure what to say to that, Tom.
Just let it linger.
Let's do that. Let's take a quick moment, and then we'll come back with the other game in the group, which was a storming clash between Morocco and Haiti. Just one more thing on Brazil, Tom. A great stat that we heard on Fox Sports.
A remarkable stat. No Brazilian player has scored a hat-trick at a World Cup since a teenage Pelé at the 1958 tournament, which is incredible. You think of the players that they've had since then. Your
No
Zicos,
hat-tricks.
your Ronaldos, your Romarios.
All those ones.
Your Neymars. Not one. Not one.
Wow. What's that? They had that on your TV at home? There you go. Amazing stat anyway. Now, while Brazil were doing Scotland 3-0, there was another game going on in the group which none of us watched. Such was our fascination with events in Miami. However, luckily, our friend Maher Mezahi was across Morocco's 4-2 with Haiti, and he joined us a short time ago to tell us more. Maher, not too much expected of this game by some, but it turned out to be an absolute screamer. Some of the goals you saw in this 4-2 win for Morocco.
Great goals. Particularly Isidore's goal from Haiti to sort of tie the game, or to take the lead 2-1 against Morocco was a screamer from outside of the box. But I do think Morocco were the better side throughout, and I do think everybody expected them to win. I do think they also took Haiti a bit lightly. They made 4 changes to the starting lineup, dropping Maher Mezahi, Brahim Diaz, Ayoub Boadi, and Issa Diop, all of whom started the first 2 matches of the group stages. Now, part of that was because in Issa Diop's case, for example, he had a yellow card, but also because I think they realized that they could rotate and come away with the victory, which is exactly what happened.
Indeed so. A lot of people wondering about Morocco. Are they going to be as strong as they were at the last World Cup? So far, we've had a 1-1 draw with Brazil, a narrow win over Scotland, and then this game, which saw them struggling against the Haiti side already out. Where do we stand on Morocco? Where do you stand on them?
I still think that their peak is going to be in 4 years. I think they've obviously changed their style of play. 2022, they had a very clear identity where they were the more passive side and they were exploiting weaknesses on the counterattacks and on set pieces. Now they're on the ball much more often, which leaves them exposed. And they're playing very young players. The average age of midfield at times is in 20 years old, 21 years old. So I really think that the finish line for them is that 2030 World Cup and they want to sprint right through. But I do wonder, if they come up against the Netherlands, who I read that statistic about them not losing in 90 minutes since 2006, and they're probably going to come up against the Netherlands in the round of 32. I don't think they're going to be favorites there.
Well, in the meantime, let's enjoy this game here, which saw Saibari scoring for the 3rd time in 3 games. Also saw Haiti getting their first World Cup goal for 52 years. What was your favourite bit?
The Saibari goal was interesting because he became the first African player to score in every single one of the group stage matches. And considering he's not really a striker by trade, he's more seen as an attacking midfielder. Of course, he can play across the front line. I think it's been great for Morocco because for a long period of time, they had been experiencing with Ayoub El-Kaabi, Sofiane Rahimi, who also scored today. And they were kind of trying to find this number 9 who would finally establish themselves. And if Ismail Sabri can be that player, that'd be great. But for me, the moment of the match was Isidore's goal. And again, when I talk about Morocco being lackadaisical, if you watch how that goal came to be, at one point, Brahim Diaz is in a 50-50, which I forget with which Haiti player, it might be Experience. And he just completely pulled out. And it's one of those where, okay, you're going to qualify as second place team, and Morocco will, no matter what the result of the match was, even if they had lost. He pulls out of a 50-50 ball. He doesn't get stuck in. Haiti win the ball comes out to Isidore, and he smashes it in. That I don't think would have happened if Morocco were less lackadaisical, a bit more sharp mentally. But that goal, that was brilliant.
Bono couldn't do anything about that one, but he was able to pull off one of the saves of the tournament late on and another thunderous Haiti shot.
Yeah, I think some Moroccans are finding him at fault for the first goal because the ball came across inside the 6-yard box. And usually they say the goalkeeper, that's the cardinal rule. The goalkeeper's he's responsible for whatever comes into the 6-yard box. So he didn't come out, he didn't collect that one, and it ended up bouncing off of him and it counts as an own goal. But yeah, late in the match, he was tested again from outside of the box, and he came up big. Best goalkeeper in Africa by far, in my opinion. Edouard Mendy, clearly second. But if you're gonna beat Bono, it's gonna take an effort like Isidore's, which was the second goal for Haiti. I don't think you can beat him, with a tame effort.
Maher, you keep downplaying Morocco's chances, and they keep rolling along. Is there an element of superstition behind this?
No, honestly, for me, I think in Africa in general, I always thought that Morocco were more respected outside of Africa than in Africa, because we had seen them go to Côte d'Ivoire and lose to a South African team in the quarterfinals. We had seen them, at the previous African Cup of Nations, in my opinion, be outclassed in that final against Senegal, and then in the qualifying matches, they usually played like 70% of them, 80% of them at home. And so we never really felt they were tested. They hadn't really gained that respect on the continent. So I think this is a continent-wide thing about Morocco.
Okay, well, we'll get some answers when they face whoever it is in the round of 32, very possibly the Netherlands. Maher, safe travels, and we'll catch up with you again soon. Maher Mezahi. Well, there you go. That's the Group C table. And we'll find out what happens in the days to come, whether that performance is good enough for Scotland to make it as one of the 8 best third-place finishers. Next up, though, let's move on to Group B, which saw the big game in Vancouver, Canada taking on Switzerland to see who would finish in top spot and thus stay in Canada for the round of 32 match. Didn't go well for Canada. Tom, you were watching this. What happened?
So Switzerland were kind of rescued in their previous game against Bosnia by the introductions of Johan Manzambi and Ruben Vargas. This time around, they started, and they were Switzerland's saviours again. They scored the 2 goals that gave the Swiss victory early in the first half. First one was Manzambi crossing from the right and setting up Vargas, and then Brillembolo drove forward, laid it off to Manzambi. He had a shot that the Canadian goalkeeper Maxime Pancakes should probably have done slightly better with.
You accidentally pronounced it Crapo, Tom.
That was definitely a mistake. Crapo. But the best goal of the day was actually scored by Canada. Oh, yeah. Beautiful goal with about 50 minutes remaining. Nathan Saliba, no relation, brilliantly brings the ball down on the right hand side and puts across the box, and Promise David,
also
who just come on, also no relation, outside of his right foot volley, lovely goal, but too little too late. Too
little too late. Was that because Canada knew they only needed a draw in this game and played for that in the first half?
Not really. The first half was quite open, but Switzerland had the better chances, and then in the second half they kind of went through the gears, and Canada didn't really have much of a response. They did put a bit of pressure on at the end, but it was too late.
Okay. Well, as mentioned, that means that Switzerland win the group, so they will be playing their round of 32 match in Vancouver, I think, in Canada certainly, which is kind of what Canada themselves wanted to do. Canada instead, Jesse Marsh's boys, they'll have to come down to Los Angeles for their first knockout match. And the other thing about it is that rather than have a full week to prepare for it, a full week between the 2 games, they'll only get 3 days. So that's a bit of a knock. Any idea who they're going to be facing, Duncan?
Phil, I was going to say it's definitely going to be South Africa.
Is it going to be South Africa?
Yeah, I think before the game this evening we were thinking it would be South Korea.
Yeah.
So it's interesting you mentioned the gap between the games is really short for them. Obviously they lose what you would term to be home advantage, not being in Vancouver and down in Los Angeles. And I think it would have been Algeria. There are lots of moving parts with the algorithms and everything else and the group standings, but I think it would have been Algeria in Vancouver. South Africa and Los Angeles doesn't seem like that bad a fixture, although I was, and we'll come into them, but I was super impressed with them against South Korea. I thought they managed 1-0 really well.
Excellent.
We should take a moment as well. This is officially the first confirmed last 32 fixture. What a moment. We've looked at that bracket for months, going, I can't work it out. Who's going to be? Why is this team there? And
I personally would say that I can't work it out either, and thank goodness for Shiny Machines, because they've been doing a sterling job.
Yeah, they have. God bless them.
How accurate do you think it's been, the prediction bracket?
Pretty good.
Yeah,
very good. I mean, so the way that the third place teams have worked out, I had a look at this earlier. FIFA have got an appendix in a document with 485 different combinations of how you allot the teams.
Really?
And they had to, the people at The Athletic, the clever people, had to program all of that in, and it's been very reliable. So.
Okay. If you're not across this, you can access it for free on the Athletic app for the duration of the tournament. All World Cup content is there available gratis. No Alphonso Davies for Canada. When do you think they're going to be breaking the glass and releasing Alphonso?
Well, Jesse March was saying that he had successfully fooled the Swiss by saying that Alphonso Davies was fit.
That worked.
But obviously he wasn't. So I guess we will wait to see what he says at his pre-match press conference ahead of the next game, and then not believe whatever he says.
Well, I think he did say after the game that he will be playing in the last 32. Well, but maybe that's just another one of his crazy ruses.
Exactly.
We simply don't know what to believe anymore.
Definitely not fit, of course, will be Ismail Kone, who had his leg broken back in Game 2 against Qatar. He did make an appearance, saluted the fans. The fans, he wears the number 8 for Canada. They duly applauded in the 8th minute of this game. But in related news, nice to see him not up and around, but at least kind of getting out there and enjoying the fixture. The player who was involved in that tackle, which saw his leg broken, Asim Madibo of Qatar, has received a 5-game ban.
Yeah,
It's
which
on
I
FIFA.
think we all
Isn't it?
agreed
Yeah.
seems very arbitrary and very unfair, because it wasn't a bad challenge. It was a very innocuous challenge. He clearly wasn't trying to injure Kone, and he was
bizarre
just
tangle.
unlucky, and he's obviously being punished for the injury that his opponent unfortunately was left with, rather than the gravity of the challenge.
Switzerland topped the group. Bosnia-Herzegovina, meanwhile, taking on Qatar. In the other game, this was Wednesday morning. Duncan, last night you said, I'm going to watch the Qatar game, and it's going to be the game of the tournament.
Yeah, I
Well,
did
how-
say that.
How sagacious that proved to be.
I mean, I'm not saying it was the game of the tournament. That's for other people to say. But it was.
Featured one of the goals of the tournament.
Well, we've already
It's
talked.
the game of the tournament.
Yeah, it
wasn't
was. I mean, we've talked about Alabegovic's wonder strike.
Yeah.
There was another own goal from across Edin Dzeko, man in his 40s.
Right.
Another theme of this World Cup.
Okay, so basically you had Alabegovic,
Yeah.
half an hour in, dribbles past a couple of players, seems to be heading in the wrong direction, but then turns
Bang.
and boom,
Yeah.
there on the score sheet. 5 minutes later, a player more than double his age, because Alabegovic is what, 18?
And Dzeko's 40, 41.
Yeah, there you go. The maths, that checks out.
Old enough to be his granddad.
He shoots in, he fires the
He
ball
kind of.
in.
It's like
Is he-
it's hard to tell whether he's trying to knock it back across the 6-yard box or shoot.
I think
Okay.
it was a cross.
But he's in
even
his
so,
he's in his
definitely a
40s.
He put it in an area.
You
It was one of those.
you watch a 40-year-old in a power league, and that's probably a shot. I'm saying. Anyway.
Okay.
And
Quite
he, did,
possible.
and he did actually take that off, didn't he, when he was substituted Dzeko, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. It hits the
Might well be
defender.
Just shooting with
Who's the
everything.
defender?
Can't remember.
Al Break. Bracket, probably.
Oh yeah, put a break on Qatar's hopes of getting through to the knockouts. So that was 2-0, and then after that, weirdly, for about 20 minutes, Qatar were really good. They actually ended up with more XG in the game than Bosnia. I mean, neither team got to 1, so maybe game of the tournament is stretching the thing a little bit. But they had more big chances. They actually looked decent. Al Haydos pulled one back just before half time.
Okay.
And
then-
then the second half was competitive.
Okay, Bosnia got a third goal. Ermin Mamic, who in modern football news has scored 2 goals in 4 caps for Bosnia since he made the decision to switch allegiance from Austria all of a month ago.
I mean, good decision.
Yeah,
And I
mean-
think you can see the fans there. If you're listening, there's a picture of some fans. But the Bosnians were all over the city. They were marching around. There's a big diaspora of them in the US and Canada.
We saw them in LA.
Yep.
Yeah, they were
Outnumbered
marching
the
through.
Swiss comfortably.
Yeah.
There's a lot of switcheroo going on, isn't there, with nations? Canada have been doing it a lot with players who are playing for other countries and bringing them in. I think I might have read recently that Poland have or had a policy of we only use players who were born in Poland, I think, or
Really?
something like that. But even they are starting to think, do you know what?
Well,
Everybody else is
famously,
at it. So
former World Cup top scorer Miroslav Klose, Germany, was born in Poland.
That's so true. Even some Welsh people have turned up in this World Cup. So-
What?
yeah.
No.
What's all that
no.
about? And that's just Finn Sermon.
There you
Maybe
go.
maybe
That's the
Scotland
one.
could have a search for a country that produces defenders.
that is the future. Let's do it.
Well, no, seriously.
Yeah.
However, one other thing.
The trouble
that's
is
been-
going to be persuading them to play for Scotland, really, isn't it?
Well, you've reached tournaments, back-to-back tournaments. Yeah. Another thing that there's been a lot of at this World Cup is own goals. We're now up to 11. Now, the record is 12 in 2018. The last World Cup in Qatar featured just 2. So now that we haven't even finished the group stages, we're already up to 11. Why? What's going on?
I think, a few of them have been defensive howlers. That's always going to be a part of football. But I think a lot of them have been a little bit like the Dzeko incident today, where sort of crosses to the back post or cutbacks from the touchline, and defenders running onto their own, facing their own goal, and it goes in like that. I think probably of the 11, maybe 5 or 6 have been like that. So it's kind of a increasing in modern football. We've seen it in the Premier League as well, and other leagues. So, once upon a time, an own goal was a source of great shame, but now it's just part of the game.
Part of the game. It was great shame. That's just part of the game.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, well done
There's
to...
a famous story about a club in Scotland called East Stirlingshire, who always used to finish at the bottom of the lowest league in Scotland. And there was a book written about them called Pointless, for obvious reasons. And the highlight of it, the biggest stat, was that at one point in the season, their top scorer was a central defender with 2 own goals.
We laughed. That happened to France at Euro 2024. They got to the semi-finals thanks to Mbappe penalties and own goals. So it is, if you can figure out how to harness it,
it's
it can
a
take you
legitimate
far.
thing.
I mean,
Embrace
if you
it, love
create
it.
enough confusion in the corridor of uncertainty,
Exactly that. Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't happen by chance. Sometimes it does, but sometimes
Tom,
it doesn't.
what's own goal in French?
Un but contre son camp.
Oh, that's
Like a
good.
goal
That's sexy.
against your own camp.
But
Un
contre
but contre
son
son camp.
compte.
Or you can abbreviate it to un CSC. Ah, il a mis un CSC. He's scored a CSC. A but contre son camp.
Oh, that's
There you go.
better.
That's wonderfully literal.
It's quite a mouthful, though. I feel for French commentators having to suddenly...
Do they never say autoboot?
No.
Autorette
the
is Italian.
right?
Autorette.
Yeah,
They do when they
yeah.
run out of shoes. But yeah.
Right. Anywho, this evening, Group A, we discussed that a little bit earlier on. Should we cross the T's and dot the I's on that one?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because first of all, a lot of beer flying at the Azteca as Mexico did the Czech Republic, Czechia, 3-0. This Mexico side, did I mention the stat before? They've won all their group games, haven't conceded a single goal. Only the 6th team in World Cup history to do that in a 4-team group. They're actually pretty good, aren't they, Mexico?
And yet, going into the last World Cup, they were desperate to shake off this run of 7 consecutive eliminations at the last 16, which they'd become completely sick of. And they did successfully do that by being eliminated in the group phase. So they actually came into this World Cup, I think, slightly chastened by that experience. You look through their squad list, there aren't that many recognisable names. Raul Jimenez is probably their most well-known player, but he's now in his mid-30s. Ochoa as well. So, this is not the new generation.
Right.
Yes, they were drawn into a relatively unchallenging group, shall we say, but we expected a lot more of South Korea, we expected a lot more of Czech Republic. I think South Africa have surprised everyone. So 3 wins out of 3 clean sheets, and home advantage as well. Wouldn't want to be heading towards the Azteca.
Why? Who would be doing a thing like that?
Well, I wonder.
It could be England in the last 16.
If England make it through the last 32, pretty much nailed on, they would be facing Mexico if they equally survived their first knockout game.
And also,
Could have been Scotland in the last 32, but that boat seems to be sailing.
well, we don't know yet, Phil. We don't know yet. But the last time, to Tom's point, the last time that Mexico did get beyond the round of 16 was in 1986 in their home World Cup. So
There you go.
all the sliding Mexican doors are sliding.
Half of the players seem to look about 12, apart from the aforementioned goalkeeper, who they just threw on for the hell of it in the second half.
Yeah.
153rd appearance. The crowd loved it. The crowd thought it was great. But
I mean, along with Neymar, that was one of the great crowd-pleasing gestures of the day.
Terrific, wasn't
And
it?
one of their
Oh,
players...
look at that. He's now appeared in 6 World Cups.
been to 6 World
squads, isn't
Cups.
he?
He's only played at 4. I
Okay.
mean, fair play.
Yeah.
But they actually had a 17-year-old, Gilberto Mora, I think is the youngest player at the tournament. He started today, so they do, the next generation is coming through, and they scored some really nice goals. They played some good stuff.
So one came from the left back, Mateo Chavez. He opened the scoring.
Yeah, that was a
Nice
lovely
back,
goal.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
the left back popping up on the halfway line, gathering a pass from Luis Romo, hurdling a challenge, cantering into the box and steering it home.
He was quick as well, wasn't he?
Yeah. You
Running
would not
pace,
have thought that he was a left back. as he
After
kind of
seeing that, the Czechs
towards
decided
the
not
box.
to do any more challenges. So when Julian Quinones came up, they all ran away.
Well,
Yeah,
they
I
down,
think
they
that was-
downed tools. They were sick of Duncan's moaning. They said, right, do you know what, let's get out of here.
But the second Mexican goal was the absolute low point of the entire Czechia tournament experience, in that it came from Tomáš Holeš, the Czech defender, clearing the ball against an opponent and allowing Quinones to score the second. And then they
on
added
that-
another at the end, and it was all pretty one-sided.
On that, before we came here to do this, Duncan was saying, "Oh, do you know how many players have scored more than one goal in this World Cup?" And I said, 7. And Tom, you said
Yeah, it was around the same.
8. And
I said 8 as well, I think,
Yeah,
which I thought was
and
a
then-
pretty fair guess.
what did you say at home, Duncan?
It's 28,
What?
That's mad stat.
which is genuinely quite mad, yeah. I mean, there's tons and tons of players on 2 goals, and then you've got obviously your Undavs and your Saibaris and Manzabis and Jonathan David and Cunha now on 3, and then your big guns on 4s and 5s. So it's a goal fest. Imagine predicting there'd be not many goals.
It's really high-scoring World Cup. What are they averaging? It's over 3 goals a game.
Mad to think that anyone could have predicted anything
what they're
but
saying.
that.
But it's a long way to go.
There is a long way to go. The other game in this group saw South Africa beating South Korea 1-0, and that's bad news for Scotland because it means that South Korea now feature in the potential third place teams that make it into the knockout stages.
I did say earlier they were good, South Africa.
Yeah.
I saw them in the first game and thought, oh dear, early flight home. But as you're saying, the way they managed 1-0 was really impressive.
Well, we were talking about it. Like, they were unlucky that they were in the actual opening game. A lot of pressure, the globe watching.
Scotland?
No, South Africa.
Oh, South Africa, right, yeah.
And then they had to play our old friends, the Czech Republic, and no one can, just... So this was their first chance to show what they can do, and they did it.
All right. They make it through to the knockout stages of the World Cup for the first time ever. That's Thapelo Maseko, who scored the only goal on a lovely counter-attacking move. Very good. Well, that's what happened on Wednesday, and Thursday we go again. We've got another 3 groups. We're all going to have their last set of matches played from each group simultaneously. Before we get on to that, very, very shortly, Jamie in Sydney, and hello to you if you're watching or listening in Australia, says, "G'day crew," he genuinely does. "I recommend catching a Waymo self-driving taxi while you're in LA. It's a very strange experience, and I, for one, would enjoy hearing your take on it. Loving the Daily Pod," says Jamie in Sydney.
Content idea, we'll take them all.
Well, I've been in a Waymo.
Oh, there we go.
I've been in a Waymo. I went last year in San Francisco. Now in San Francisco, they have these extraordinary things that are not Waymos, which are essentially pimped out or machined up Jaguars with, a driving, a steering wheel as they're known, but nobody sat there. That's the disconcerting thing. You get in and
what do you do though? Like, how do you get it going? Do you
well,
send
so
your code
you have
or
an
do you
app.
scan?
You have an app, and if you've been in a Waymo, this is going to get terribly dull. You have an app. You book it like
people need to know,
like a mini cab or a taxi service. And what was curious about the one that I got was that I was stood in kind of a supermarket car park. And there was a lot of traffic, and I could see the Waymo up there because they got a big thing on the roof. And the robot brain went, "I'm not sitting in this traffic." So it pulled into the supermarket car park and did a maneuver and then came and picked me up.
No.
And then I'm there, and it's like, "Kit." And I open the door and I get in because it's recognised my code. It's
Michael.
Yeah, and I get in and the thing pulls off. And now I'm sat in the front seat because there's people in the back seat, companions, and we're driving off, and it is seriously disconcerting. I guess in the back seat you might kind of look out the window or whatever, but when you're sat in the front seat and, oh my word, it's like one of those paranoid dreams that we all have. And wake up sweating.
Because they've got the Terminator 2 storm drains in Los Angeles.
In
I
Los
went
Angeles,
specifically looking for them, like a massively sad case, and found them.
There you go.
So,
Yeah.
fitting.
Terminator 2,
Rise
Rebel Without a Cause.
Rise of the Machines.
Oh, Rise of the Machines.
And
That was
literally...
number 3 though, wasn't it, Duncan?
Was it?
Yeah.
I thought Terminator 2 was right.
No,
Oh, no,
2
Judgment Day.
Judgment
And then
Day.
Rise of the Machines. All right, but
Basics.
machines are good,
We'll edit
right?
that, Duncan. Don't worry.
Yeah, whatever.
yeah.
But
Thanks, Jamie in Sydney, for your question. I was going to mention that in San Francisco there are all these new ones that are basically, there's no driver's compartment at all. It's just 4 seats, like a little saloon with like 4 posts on either end, little radar posts, and it just kind of goes around. Whoa. Anyway, sorry, Duncan.
no, nothing.
Nothing. All right, on we go then. What awaits on Thursday? Let's find out next. Special moment now at this World Cup, as with the conclusion of Groups A, B and C, we wave goodbye to 3 nations: Haiti,
Respectfully, farewell.
okay, Qatar, and Czech Republic. Now, there's a lot of flags here on the table. Which of these, to which of these will a similar treatment be meted out tomorrow? Well,
because Turkey are out already.
all right then. Groups D, E and F are going to be taking the field. In Group D, let's have a look. USA have already won that group. Turkey are already out, as Tom mentions. Australia and Paraguay are level and battling over second spot. And you know what? Australia and Paraguay face each other. Ooh. Australia's goal difference is +2. Well, compared to Paraguay. So they just need a draw. USA, meanwhile, take on Turkey in the deadest of dead rubbers. On to Group E then, where Germany have already taken first place. Ivory Coast just need a point to secure second spot because they've got a superior head-to-head with Ecuador. Ecuador and Curacao 2 points behind Ivory Coast. Ecuador will be facing Germany, while Curacao face Ivory Coast. One more group to go. And it's F, where Netherlands and Japan are tied on top. Same points, same goal difference. 1 point behind them is Sweden, who, in the final group game, will be facing Japan, while Netherlands get perhaps the easier task of taking on Tunisia. Well, we decided to have a bit of focus on Japan because they've been quietly building a bit of an international following as many people's second team. What is it about Samurai Blue and how far can they go? Well, early today, Ben Mabley, the Japanese football journalist based in Osaka, joined us to tell us more. Japan, Ben, it's kind of hard to put your finger on it, but they're not a normal side. How would you define what they're doing?
They're not a normal side. They don't have a lot of stars, but they have an awful lot of very good players. And more important than that, they've got a team that really knows what they're doing. I think throughout the group stages of the teams that I've seen so far, there may be plenty of teams that have bigger star names, better quality up top perhaps, but I'm not sure there's a team that functions as well and knows what they're doing and are so coordinated as this Japan side. I think it's fair to say quite comfortably that it's the best and most confident Japan's side in its own skin than we've ever seen at a World Cup before. I think competing with the Netherlands in the way that they did, they were able to compete on their own terms. They didn't have as much of the ball perhaps, but they didn't approach the game in quite the underdog mindset that they approached the Spain and Germany games that they won 4 years ago. And then it was a completely different challenge to play against Tunisia in the second game because unusually Japan were the clear favourites, and that's where they slipped up against Costa Rica 4 years ago. So there was a little bit of a mental block there, or fear that there might have been. But the game starts and there clearly wasn't. They played extremely well in that one and are looking really good at the moment, I think.
Ben, lots of countries have tried to build a football culture, but how have Japan actually done it? They haven't mimicked other nations, so what have they done?
Well, I mean, Japan was starting almost from scratch when the J-League began, right, in 1993, because it was a company league before. The only really truly professional team sport in the country was baseball. So they were starting with about 100-year disadvantage to England and some other European countries. The thing that they did then was to ensure that the teams were rooted in hometowns and represented hometowns as opposed to businesses, corporations. And then they built up their league. They built up sort of the local roots in football through that. Over the years, that's contributed, not just through the J-League, but also with high schools and universities to a fantastic development in the level of coaching. And so Japan is exporting an awful lot of players these days. And there's a stereotype that persisted within Japan, I think, as well, that Japanese people don't tend to be as big as Europeans or South Americans, and so they have to prioritize the technical attributes over the physical. Now that isn't really the case anymore. You know, the Japanese players on average are just under 6 foot, I think, about 180 centimetres. They've got a 6'3" striker on the bench, Goto. And now there's a lot more diversity amongst the Japanese squad. In terms of the tactics, they've got a lot of quick players. Everybody is hard-working, but the tactics that's been introduced by the manager, Hajime Moriyasu, are similar to those that he basically inherited from the Serbian manager, Mihajlo Petrovic, when he became Sanfrecce Hiroshima manager back in 2012. The 3-4-2-1 system that can become 5 up front, can become 4 at the back with one of the midfielders dropping in, and with plenty of rotations on the side. So you've got a player like Ritsu Doan now, who came through the Gamba Osaka Academy as a wonderfully gifted attacking player, playing wing back and contributing just as much in defence as he would in attack. And so that's sort of the self-sacrifice for the team. But the interplays that they managed to do within that, and the the readiness that they have to pounce on any opportunities to press or counter press and then turn over and then link very quickly in attack is a very highly developed and successful version of this 3-4-2-1 system.
Well, on Thursday they're going to be facing Sweden. Japan can afford a draw. However, if they go through in second place, they're going to be up against Brazil in the round of 32. For all that they developed, for all the progress they've made, is that a winnable game for Japan, Ben?
I don't think Japan will think they can't beat anyone. I think they'll go into any game confident that if they play their way, whether it's with the ball like they did against Tunisia or without the ball like they did against the Netherlands and like they did in March against England, they don't tend to concede very many goals in this new system against anybody, and they're very, very good when they do win the ball at breaking behind into space. And so if Brazil get caught upfield, Japan will exploit that.
Ben Mabley there in Osaka. Very interesting stuff. Of course, before any potential clashes with Brazil, Japan do actually have to get past Sweden. A draw will be enough, but Japan have been piling up the injuries. Endo, Mitoma, Minamino, and now Kubo as well. Doesn't look like he's going to be available for this. Sweden did get taken apart last time out by Netherlands, but we shall see. Any machine wisdom there about Japan, Duncan?
Yeah, I just hit the machines up, and they're actually quite interesting, Japan, because that group is slightly unusual with, 2 teams on 4, 1 team on 3 points. There's actually 6 different pathways they can go into. Brazil is the most likely one, but they also have a 20% chance of playing France, probably.
Right, which Ben mentioned, yeah.
Okay, but and then they could even play Mexico, they could play Morocco, they could be up against Switzerland, even Mexico, so it's something to look out for. Some more a bit of permutation fun for anyone who likes that.
Machines have been busy, haven't they? Do you enjoy a bit of Japan, Tom?
Yeah, very entertaining. First game against Netherlands was a slow burner that suddenly burst to life towards the end, finished 2-2. And then they were fantastic against Tunisia. Again, a Tunisia team who've had this extremely difficult tournament, sacked their coach after the first game, have shipped a ton of goals. But some of the football that Japan plays, some of the combinations, particularly in attack, were really, really impressive.
We were in a Japanese restaurant, izakaya, funnily enough.
We were. The perfect setting. We should go back.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe we're
we're
responsible for Japan doing so well. You wouldn't want to have that on your conscience if they went out.
Huh.
If only I'd eaten more ramen.
I don't know if there's a rival Swedish eatery in the neighbourhood that we could visit, for balance. But let's move on anyway. That's one game that's going to be taking place on Thursday. I mentioned a whole raft of other ones. There's no time, Phil. No time to go through all of them. But is there another fixture you'd like to pick out of there?
Well, the game that's really shaping up in the last 32 at the moment is Netherlands against Morocco, which at the moment I would say going through it looks like the pick of the ties as it's going to wind up. And you would assume that the Netherlands will give Tunisia a good pasting. Tunisia look like they want to go home as soon as possible, although they were warned by their new coach about what might happen at the airport when they get back. So who knows really? But the sooner it's over for them, the better really. A bit like the Czech Republic, just be good to get rid of them. But the Netherlands should top that group, and if they do, then that is going to be a tasty game.
Netherlands, Morocco. And for Tunisia echoing Delamitri's words, don't come home too soon. Ecuador, Germany is one that a lot of people are looking out for. Germany, of course, already through, but it does have that interesting angle of the 2 most extravagantly dressed managers.
Yeah, non-union Hervé Renard back. Good to see. I think that game's quite interesting from a Scotland point of view because obviously...
Sorry, it's not... that's Sebastian Becacce.
Yeah, that's him. That's the joke.
Oh, you said... What did you say?
The non-union Hervé Renard. It's actually my joke originally, but Duncan's corrected
it. Right. Sorry, I didn't hear you say
was.
that. I just thought you said good to see Hervé Renard back.
Thing.
All right,
but then I applied it for...
All right, I'll pick it up again. But... sell it more. That would be my thing. Right. Other games include Ecuador, Germany, which Germany already through. Ecuador with no. Other games include Ecuador, Germany, which producer Charlie was flagging up because there's the 2 most extravagantly dressed managers, probably. Julian Nagelsmann and Sebastian Becacce.
Becacce, very much the non-union Hervé Renard. So, and I think this game's quite interesting because Ecuador have been all right so far, but they just not very good.
Don't score goals.
No, and from a Scottish point of view, if Germany turn up again, and you'd imagine like Dennis Undav will get a start, and he's in red hot form, then and Germany get a draw at least. That seems realistic.
Yeah.
Then that means Scotland will be above Ecuador in the battle for third. So, yeah, I think I just want to see another Steve Clarke interview at this World Cup. So I'm absolutely hanging out for that.
And they're on the ropes, Ecuador, aren't they? Big time. I don't really know how they've got themselves there. They were so good in qualifying, and I thought they'd be really good in this tournament, but it's all ground to a halt really quickly.
Well,
Can't score goals, can they?
Battered Curaçao, but just didn't score any goals.
Yeah.
And you kind of need to.
Got to score goals at this level. Paraguay and Australia will be trying to score goals, but Paraguay will have their work cut out for them because they're facing a young fella by the name of Patrick Bleak. So that's another game to look out for. Also, because this is in USA's group, they're the group winners, but Paraguay and Australia are second and third. Australia have the better goal difference. They just need a draw in this match, and they've got the goalkeeper to get it.
Definitely.
Do you reckon?
Another sort of Instagram overnight sensation. Although, speaking of that, the other day, I feel really bad saying this, I do feel really guilty. I was one of the people who got sucked into following Tim Payne at the start when his social numbers went huge. And then obviously there's been Vecina and there's been Eloy Room as well. And Tim Payne popped up on my stories the other day. And like I say, I feel guilty about this, but I thought, I'm bored of you, Tim Payne. In fact, more than that, I'm going to unfollow you, Tim Payne. What? And it made me think, in 2 months' time, will Vecina be back to 90,000? Will Eloy Room have about 50,000?
I don't know. It maybe depends how much he posts. Because if he doesn't post, then no one's going to know, and then he can just... He didn't strike me as a big poster-type guy.
No, maybe not. I'm massively fickle, that's what it is.
Right.
I got caught up in the buzz and then got tired
Your
of it.
time is your time, Phil. You're right to be choosy with it.
Phil doesn't like, and that's it. You're dead to him on social media. So watch out, all of you.
Just on the subject of goalkeeping and not conceding goals, Australia with Patrick Bleak, Paraguay... pretty good defensively as well. Against Turkey, they faced 32 shots, but didn't concede once. That's the most that any team has ever faced without conceding since North Korea against Italy all the way back in 1966.
I did say rename Turkey as Duck if you're in the stands and they're shooting, and a lot of Turkish people on Twitter did not find that very funny.
They not?
So apologies to them.
They're fickle as well.
But accurate.
Anyway, big action on the way with 6 matches on Thursday. Totally at the World Cup will be returning straight after all of that. A little bit later than usual, actually, because the games finish late and we're going to stick around for them because they're important. But I hope you'll be joining us as well. For now, it's many, many thanks to Phil Hay, to Tom and to Duncan and all the production crew, and of course, Maher and Ben earlier on. We'll see you in 24 hours' time, I hope. For now, from all of us here, it's goodbye.